Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much for joining us for the ELT Conference, day 2. Day 1 for some of you, so in which case, welcome to the conference. My name's Tim, I'm the Business Development Director at English UK, and it's a big welcome from me, wherever you are in the world. I'm in London, Johanna is in Norwich, so if you could just let us know in the comments where you're from as well, it'd be great to see our international audience. We're delighted to be able to offer this Teachers' Day for free and to all non-members as well as members of English UK, teachers, practitioners, ELT, people from all over the world. The reason we're able to do that is with great thanks to our generous sponsorship. So a real big thanks to our sponsors, Cambridge Assessment English, Ensley Insurance, Language Cert, Macmillan Education and Trinity College London. Please do check out what they do. They have a session following the break with some of their with what they do, and you can find them on the website. They do some really interesting stuff, so please do check them out. We do encourage participation. Pop some comments in, use the Q&A box to ask questions. We'll get to them if we can, if we have enough time at the end of the meeting. If we do drop off, we have some connection problems, just be patient and try and join with the original link, and then we'll get back online as soon as possible. That's it from me. I'm delighted to be joined by Joanna Sterling, who is going to give our presentation. So I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you. Can I? Okay. Just sharing my screen. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. And thank you so much for coming. Yes, I'm the NILE Online Academic Manager. That's NILE, Norwich Institute for Language Education. And I'll just tell you what we're going to look at today. We did some research about the impact of online courses on participants, their students and institutions and the wider community as well. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the research and reporting on that, and then pick out what were the key elements that that led to this impact. And then I want to focus on the implications for the industry wider. We want to share what we learned, how we can all make courses more impactful. Okay, so nice little quote here, I think. Online and distance education is very likely the fastest growing area of education in the world today. That's a big statement in both the developed and developing worlds. Okay, and actually that was written before the pandemic, and you could magnify it now by 10, I'm sure. So I absolutely agree with that, but I think there's a big but. And it's this. Okay, that we have lots of online learning, online teaching, but where is the pedagogy? There's not very much that's actually been written about the pedagogy of online learning. There's plenty about the technology itself, but very little about how to teach online. And so it's something that we really wanted to address, and we thought that a really good place to start with this is by thinking about the impact of our courses. What has been impactful? Firstly, has it been impactful? What has been impactful? And what does that tell us? And how does that feed in to how we continue to make and deliver our courses? Okay, I just want to give you a little bit of background. So NILE has been operating for 26 years or something like that. And at first we were teaching face-to-face only. and which was great. We'd have hundreds of students coming to us, or sometimes we'd go to other countries and teach there. But mainly the main business was people from all over the world coming to us. And these are all teachers for teacher development, also did pre-service as well. But I'm thinking more here about existing teachers. But of course, there was always this one problem, which was that there are lots of teachers who couldn't come to us. And so in 2014, we decided to take NILE online, and we developed a suite of online courses, which we tried as far as possible to mirror our face-to-face courses, but or at least the things that people liked best about our face-to-face courses. But at the same time, we wanted to use the opportunities that that digital gives us, really. So just really briefly to tell you how this is how most of our courses work. There are some that are a bit different, but most of them are 8 weeks long. Teachers spend about 5 to 7 hours a week working on units, and everybody's working on the same unit at the same time. The courses are small, a maximum of 16 people on a course. Very importantly, they're fully tutored, and there's an assessment just at the end. It's not assessed during, but there's an assessment at the end for those people who've participated satisfactorily. We also include on there, these courses have some people who are taking the module as part of their MA programme. We have an MA programme with Chichester University. So the courses are kind of mixed, some MA and some just NILE certificate. And there's an example, I won't go through all those, but there's some examples of the types of courses that we do, though there are many more as well. Okay, so that's where we're coming from. It's these teacher development sessions that people can do while they're working. Now, of course, all of this was pre-pandemic, and it put us into a very good position when, well, relatively, when the pandemic came, because we were already used to doing this. But the research that we did was pre-pandemic. But we perhaps talk later about what difference that's made. So what we wanted to do is think about what the impact of our courses has been on the teacher themselves, so the teachers who are working on their professional development. But we wanted to take it a bit further and think, what about their students? Is it too ambitious to think that them coming on a course is actually going to help their students? And what about their colleagues and their institutions as well? Okay, so we did this impact study, and it was, we were keen that it was both quantitative and qualitative. And so I'm going to show you some of the results from that. We spent quite a lot of time designing the research questionnaires, and we piloted that first, and then we sent it out to over 1,000 current and ex-course participants from the previous 4 years. We had a good response, 150 respondents from 42 countries, and they were all sorts of people. Okay, the majority were probably teachers. We also had teacher trainers, because we do courses for teacher trainers. We had materials writers, managers, testers, because we teach all of these different courses. And so we were satisfied that we'd got a pretty wide reach. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the things that came out of that. So first, we wanted to look at what the impact was on participants themselves. And this was some of the very interesting results that we got. So you'll see that as far as professional knowledge is concerned, what have we got there? Sort of 90%, 90, I don't know, what is it? 96% or something of people said that this impacted on their professional knowledge. And that's a very satisfying number, obviously. But on the other hand, I would be a bit disappointed if there were many people who didn't come out of a course like this with that professional knowledge, as long as, you know, it's the right level for them. So very satisfying. But let's move on to the others, because in some ways they're more interesting, even if the numbers are a little bit lower. So I find this really interesting, that we've got 90% of the people who came said that it had an effect on their professional beliefs. And, you know, that, I think, I'm quite proud of that, that it really shows that people have had to think, have had to reassess. It doesn't necessarily mean that they changed their beliefs, but it does mean, it could be that it consolidated their beliefs, but that's absolutely fine to me. That they had really engaged with their beliefs there. And then especially satisfying, even if the numbers are very slightly, no, are actually about the same as the previous one, is professional practice, that people's professional practice had actually been impacted. So they were doing different things when they went back to the classroom, or whatever their work was. So focusing on that last one, we asked participants what exactly they did that they hadn't done before. Okay, and these are some of the answers that we got. So a very nice 75% said that they'd actually experimented more, probably in the classroom or wherever. And so they'd had that confidence to do that. And that's great. Again, you would hope that people would. But then some of the other things, even if they're lower numbers, in some ways are more satisfying, because 52% said that they'd read more about the course, or the topics, which is great, because very often people come on a course, they stop, and that's kind of it. So it's nice to know that people was wanting to find out more. Very nice to hear that nearly 50% of people presented to other teachers, so teachers that they worked with or at conferences, something like that, about the course topics. And my favourite is that coming on for 40% took on new responsibilities at work. I mean, that's quite major, you know, if people are really changing their careers in some ways, advancing in their careers. That's great to know. Okay, so let's just have a look at some of the things that people said about that impact. I'll just let you read those yourself. Okay, so this is going from people immediately applying what they've learnt in class, for example, to delivering at a national conference. And so great to see those, and also some research going on. Okay, so yeah, can we wish that there'll also be an impact on students? We really weren't sure whether there would be or not, and so we were very happy to see this. The not applicable at the bottom, as I said, we had people who worked for publishers or managers, for example, who it might not have been relevant, but otherwise generally really high, sort of 90% of people said that it had an impact on their students' learning. However, but then we wanted to break that down, and so we said to people, what do you mean it had an impact on your learning? And 73% said that it had impacted attitude to learning, so things like motivation. So maybe teachers were coming in with new ideas, and so the learners felt more motivated. And over half of them said that it impacted their learners' progress. And you know, that's quite a big claim to that. So we could just sit back and think, yeah, that's good, you know, but in fact we probed a bit further to find out more about that. And so we asked them for some evidence of that. So let's have a look. So we said to them, how do you know it's impacted on your learners' progress and attitude? And this was the reply. So they could vote for more than one. They could vote for as many as were applicable. And not surprisingly, you'll see most of them are my own impression. And that's fine. And we can respect that, but we wouldn't want to just base things on that, because that's quite subjective. So also lovely to see that student feedback rated so highly, so that students were actually saying that they thought that that they got better because of the teachers' new learning. And feedback from colleagues, that's really interesting as well, if teachers had been sharing their ideas. And one that we were really pleased to see was that actually achievement of marks and grades had gone up. And you know, that's really measurable. So we were glad to see that. All right. So these are some things that they said. Okay, so so this was obviously from a teacher trainer and students who've liked things as well. All right, so also, was there an impact on colleagues and workplace? Because you know, it's the lucky few who get to come on a course or get to take an online course. They're lucky, but they also work hard. But we're always keen that learning is disseminated much further, so that it benefits more people. And in fact, one of the things that we do at the end of our courses when we send certificates is send a letter to the boss, to the manager, the teacher's manager or trainer's manager, suggesting ways that they can help the teacher to develop, giving opportunities for them to develop. So let's have a look at impacts on colleagues and the workplace. So we asked if they'd actually shared their learning. And again, the not applicable again could be people who are publishers and things, I don't know. But very, very few said that they hadn't shared it at all. So that's great. You know, we're talking about more than 90% of people who came on the courses had actually shared what they learned. So we've seen that our courses do have impact, and we were feeling very happy about this. But we also wanted to look at why. So we asked people who'd been on the courses what had had most impact for them. And so I'm going to give you the top 6 reasons, and then we'll look at how that can, how you could use that information. So one of them was tutor feedback and unit summaries. So our tutors are really involved in the course, and we do some training with our tutors, and we look there about how to give feedback and how to really pull information from teachers and how participants, and how to encourage them to participate more. And a big part of this is giving feedback. So tutors will be involved in forums, and we have quite a lot of collaborative tools that we use, and it's about getting them to the teachers giving feedback and getting people to give feedback to each other as well. And at the end of a unit, sorry, I deleted that slide. At the end of a unit, the tutors give a summary of all of the interactions, and participants tend to love that. Also, the input. We wanted it to be much more than a string of PDFs. There are lots of videos, but different types of videos as well. So some were quite professionally made videos of classes in action. There were videos of Nile trainers having discussions. There are also these, I've forgotten what you call them, sort of doodle videos. We've got experts in the field. Also, we've got PDFs. We use images and infographics a lot, and also other tools that we've got. So we wanted to make a real variety, a rich variety of different kinds of input. And that was appreciated. At the end of the course, there's an assignment, and the assignments are very much about getting participants to link what they've learnt on the course with their own context, and putting this into practice. And that was something that was very much appreciated. In fact, all through the course, we tried to do that, always relating to the participants' context. But they really liked having a focus. They've got 4 weeks to really focus on something in depth and get feedback from the tutor. Another thing that was very popular were the synchronous interactions. In other words, the live sessions. Most of our courses have 3 or 4 in a course. Some have more. When we do the course, last year we had to take all our face-to-face courses online, and there we put in a lot more synchronous activities as well to make it similar to face-to-face. But people really liked meeting each other, interacting, seeing each other, building up that group feeling as well. So that was very popular. And I was really pleased to see that this came out high as well, learning from other participants. We believe very strongly in co-constructed learning, learning from each other in maybe in similar contexts, but especially in different contexts, because then you get ideas that you can really really hang on to, that you can really think, oh, I'd never thought of that, but maybe that would work in my context as well. So we've got several tools. In fact, we've actually changed platforms since then. But this was a tool, a bespoke tool that we had called a community wall that people could post on. And we now use Padlet, which we love because, and our our participants love, because they can share all sorts of things, and it makes one visual resource. If you don't know it, Padlet is a digital notice board. It's fantastic. And then we do it with video as well. This sharing, you can see here somebody sharing something about a course book that she was evaluating, and then the tutor comes on and does video feedback on that as well. And that was very popular. And participants also really liked asynchronous discussion tasks. This one is another video tool one, but we have forums, and we use VoiceThread, and again, Padlet is used for that, and Google Docs, all sorts of things like that on our new platform. They really liked that. What people said was they liked the fact that they had time to stop and think, whereas in a face-to-face class, it's kind of, well, what do you think? Tell me now. And they liked having time to really reflect before they participated. So what I want to do now is just look at some implications for other providers. So these were the things that we learned and that we wanted to share with you. A high level of tutor involvement seemed to be absolutely key. And participants really, in their feedback from every course, they talk about the tutor's involvement and how valuable that was. And also the skill of the tutors. So as I say, we always do some training, even with very experienced face-to-face tutors, we still do work with them on online tutoring because we feel like it's got different skills. The pedagogy is different for online, and we wanted to make sure that the technology was being used in a very appropriate way. We didn't want to use things just for the sake of it. So we used it really to enhance our courses. And in that way, we also wanted to exploit what multimedia opportunities there were. So, we really looked at what can we do with video, and we like to keep on top of new ideas, and so that's been a lot of fun, actually, putting that in and thinking, what can we do? For us, it was very important that the output was related, the content of the course, to the participants' context. And so we think that that's a very important thing to do as well. A mixture of synchronous and asynchronous tasks. Synchronous is great. I would love to do more, but with participants from all four corners of the globe, it has a lot of challenges, actually getting people there. So we, as much as possible, we do a lot. We think very carefully about what's synchronous and what's asynchronous and what works best. And I would really encourage that. But also not to waste asynchronous time. We discourage tutors from giving presentations in synchronous activities because really they can be recorded, and synchronous activities for me are where people can really discuss and debate and share ideas. And finally, I would advise giving as many opportunities as possible for co-constructed learning, always asking people for ideas, to share ideas. We really encourage people to participate and stress how important that is, and that coming on the course, that they've really got a responsibility to share to share their ideas, and almost saying to them, look, if you're just taking, then that's a little bit selfish, because other people are sharing their ideas, so you need to as well. So we really share that. Okay, I was worried I wasn't going to get through that in 30 minutes. I'm sorry if I've gone a little bit fast there. I've been told that I can have another few minutes. You're welcome if you need to want to go for your break. You're absolutely welcome to do that. But I just wanted to say, if you have got any questions that we don't have time for now, please do send me an email. If you write to online@nile-elt.com, I'll be more than happy to answer them. But yeah, Tim said that I could have a few minutes if there are any questions for anybody who is here. So if I just stop sharing for a minute. Tim, is there anything there for me? I'm afraid I haven't even had time to look at the chat.
No, that's fine. The question from Chris in the Q&A about what do you mean by pedagogically sound use of technology? Are there any examples on their basis?
Yeah, sure. I think that there's a massive amount of technology out there, and I think sometimes it's used gratuitously. It's used because it's there. And we're always very careful not to do that. It's very easy to think, oh, there's a really cool tool, I want to use that. People will be really impressed. And then you have to kind of rein yourself back and say, actually, what's it going to do? It's a bit like the sort of the Kahoot thing. Students love Kahoot, and it can be really useful. But I've seen it being used so badly, where it's just using up time. And so we really like to think, what is going to really enhance learning? And then we use it, but otherwise we don't. I hope that answers the question.
And I think it's a definition question from Susan. Co-constructed learning.
Okay.
Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Right, okay. Co-constructed learning is where is a belief in learning coming from the community of people who are learning. So we have our maximum 16 people on a course. And although we hope that the content that we've put in is good and will provide plenty of learning, we also recognize that a lot of that learning comes from each other. So together, as a group, as a community, everybody is building up the learning. People often say in their final evaluations that they learned a huge amount from each other. And that's where the learning is being co-constructed.
We've got time for a short one, so I'm going to pick a short one. Abby Crouch has asked, what platforms do you think are most user-friendly for hosting these kind of courses?
Ah, right, okay. It depends. The big question is whether you're paying or not. If you're paying, we for many years used Moodle, which is sort of free and sort of you have to pay for a server. But if you're looking for free or cheap ones, Edmodo is popular, Google Classrooms, of course, Schoology. Those are the ones that jump to mind. But I know Google Classrooms is very popular with a lot of institutions.
Brilliant. So we're going to end it there. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank everybody, all the audience, for your participation and for your attention. That's been a really interesting session. We do have a coffee break Zoom hangout area that's open now. So if you do want to go in and chat to fellow participants, then that link is where you'll find all the links for all the sessions. Do feel free to join us over there for a refreshment break. And if if you're not able to do that, there's Eleanor's just popped that in the chat. Otherwise we'll see you in the next session, which starts at 11 o'clock. So enjoy a nice break. Thank you, Joanna, for your time. And we'll see you all on the other side. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.